YouTube. A wee bit different today. I turned out I left my stand thing with a light on it that I use for filming when I'm sitting down stuff in the studio last night. So last night was, this is what I've been using for the Black Sabbath bass band, and After the End. We're having a jam last night. And as you know, I got a box of job lot bits, and one of the things I managed to pinch out of that box was of Jen's was a power block thing for doing my pedals, like a better one than the one I had. It was a wee Harley Benton one that I got. Incidentally, get one of these power block things. That was why I started using pedals, because before I didn't realise that all the noise that was coming out my rat pedal was actually from the power supply, rather than when I got a power supply I was like, oh my god, it's not pure just going all the time. So get a good power supply, possibly more important than getting better pedals. So in the Sabbath band, I was originally I used to take in my wah-wah pedal, so actually I do know it works. One of these, someone asked me what kind it was. It's one of these. I think because it's got a battery pack on it, it's a relatively modern one, probably 2000s or something, 90s maybe, I don't know, whatever. To do with a bit of clean. But I used to take that, and if you've ever used one of these, you know they weigh an absolute ton. So I had that in my bag. In my gig bag, weighs more than a bottle of Bucky, a tuner pedal, because I like to be in tune, and I think it was originally, actually, Nick still got it. I used an overdrive, but you can't just use a normal overdrive. It needs to be like a bass specific one that's got a blend, like a wet and dry signal on it. I originally used to use a Behringer, I think it was called Bass Overdrive, only like 20 quid. It was alright, and then I bought this, thinking that this does that. So I've got a wah-wah. I only use the wah-wah for the intro NIB, and I just make it up anyway, so I don't really need a good wah-wah. It's got a tuner built into it, and it's got a bass fuzz in it, so that weighs nothing. I think it even runs on batteries, because I forgot the power supply one time and the batteries in it worked, so it's like, I think just AA batteries it runs on. AA, just standard AA batteries. And this is a really useful wee thing. I've got no issues with it. Just a very handy thing to have. I think also, I don't think it's got it's got amp on it. So it's one of these things that having this sort of thing is, if you're turning up somewhere and there isn't a bass amp and you've got to play through the PA or something, the more control you've got. But to be honest, I never really worked this out. Basically, I had it set for, patch 2 was the wah-wah one, and then patch 3 was 4, 5, 6 were just various levels of more fuzz. I didn't really do very much with it. But it was a handy thing to have, and it basically just meant I can put it in my bag easily. So now I've got a power supply though for my good pedal board. I've got my old power board, so that I bought this at the car boot sale in Palmadie, 2 quid, 3 quid for a DeWalt jigsaw case. And because I want a pedal board, but this is like, rock solid. It's in it's a suitcase. Pretty you could do cleaning it. So here's what's going to be in it. And the wah-wah. You can't actually fit bits in it because it's got these bits for holding the jigsaw. These plastic tabs, which I'll just angle grind off, make it flat. Possibly even, I'm thinking to put a plywood layer on the bottom, and that means I could screw like the feet of the wah-wah pedal onto the wah-wah. So I'll have a wah-wah in it. A tuner pedal, because you do. I'm not sorry. I think the wah-wah on the right hand side looks right though. There's the power supply I was talking about. I think it is. It's a Harley. Maybe it's not a Harley Benton. It is. It's a Harley Benton one, but it's only got like 5 outputs, whereas the one I got there's got 10 or 12 or something. These are very handy little things. I actually bought a fuzz pedal off a guy, and then when I got it home it didn't work, and I went back and he went, "Oh, do you want this power thing instead?" I think it was only a tenner. It was like, what an investment that was. So that just kind of in the bottom somewhere to power it. I've got this, which is like a bass rat pedal, which is absolutely amazing. So this will be a better. It's got there's your wet and dry signal things. Like I said, I can't remember what the LED did. I remember I think it was good sound or not good sound, whatever LED or silicon or LED diode clipping, I suppose is probably what it means. So that one, the tuner, the wah-wah, all powered from this. Oh, it's actually got 5 outputs and got 5 pedals here. This one here is a bass DI box. Basically, you could run it as a sort of, I would have used this. It basically just kind of like, it's like a really useful drive channel thing. I think the reason I'm thinking of this, partly for the fact I've got it, is that gig where the bass amp goes or there isn't a bass amp. DI out of that, I've actually got some controls. I can set the sound if I'm going into a PA rather than just have the sound engineer having all the control. So I'm just having that in there just as a DI box, actually. Just use it as a DI box. I don't know which order to put them in. Tuner, wah-wah, distortion pedal. Do I want the wah-wah before distortion? I need to try these things out. I should need to set up before I do it. And then the bass amp, and then out, and I'll cut a groove on the side so you can close the lid. Obviously, this, as I said, this doesn't fit because of these plastic bits. But once that's in there, that'll close, and it means that, and if I've got a hole cut in the bottom bit here somewhere, it means I can have the cables coming out it, and it can just sit on the stage like that, and I just open it up with perhaps song lyrics or something written on the inside of it, and then just close it off when I'm not playing. And I think you could, I'd be tempted even to put like a block of wood on the inside, like, you know, it kind of raises up kind of like that. I'm building it so that it's got a piece of wood there so you could actually physically stand on it without crushing anything. And the last pedal is the wee Legato loop pedal, because this can store 9 loops, which I could pre-record and put in via USB, and have Superzar, the War Pig, the Air Raid siren at the start of War Pigs, the Rain at the start of Black Sabbath on loops on this, and to have this just sitting in my board. And when we're in the studio, it'll just run and come through my bass amp. That'll be great. It means I'll practice being able to put that in. I'll get used to using it, and then when we're doing a gig, I will just disconnect it and just have, I'll just bypass it, and then give the sound guy the DI thing, but still have this on my board so I can still control it. And also, that'd be pretty good because it means I've got a volume control as well. But there's a wee bit of practice involved in doing that, because obviously I really don't want to blank over any of the loops. That'd be a bad thing. Only for that gig though, because I'll just save them somewhere in the computer and just put them back, actually, now that I think about it. So as long as I make it through once, it's not the end of the world. And even then, it's not the end of the world if, we've got to play War Pigs without the Air Raid siren. It doesn't really make that much difference. Yeah. So I'm quite looking forward to building my first actual pedal board. My previous pedal board was one I used to take into the cranking house, and it was just a wee piece of metal with I picked out, it was that tuner and a fuzz pedal was all that was on it, because I wanted some way of making this run off a 9-volt battery, so I didn't need to take a plug for it, because these mini pedals are too small. So I basically got a piece of metal, stuck a 9-volt battery in the back, and it powered this and the Terminator fuzz pedal. So obviously this needs a bit of cleaning. But so plans are rip out all the, I don't know how long that cable is, doesn't matter. Maybe put an extension lead. Obviously, and I'd love this to be able to. I'm not cleaning it just now. I'd love this to be able to run through another hole, or maybe through the same hole, so that I can, as I said, I can have it closed. So this would basically, what I'm thinking is cut out all these plastic bits, piece of plywood along the bottom, assuming there's enough height for that. I'm pretty sure there is enough height for the wah-wah pedal. Is there a way I can actually get it? There's not a way I can actually get the whole wah-wah in. Does it actually close there? It doesn't. So I mean, it's quite close. I mean, the wah-wah pedal may have to lose its feet. It'd be good for weighing it down. So wood lined, and then possibly I'll have to have a look at it once I've cut them out. The wah-wah pedal's fine, kind of sitting in the bottom, but I'd probably want that sitting up a bit higher. So maybe another, maybe if that's in there, maybe another piece of wood, a similar sort of thickness to the power supply, so that I see that fits if it wasn't for that bit of foam. Have the pedals mounted at this height, so I can actually get at them quite easily. Here and here, and then the wah-wah at a lower level tuner. There's quite a lot of room. I'm quite looking forward to it. It's one of those things that, and obviously I want to be able to put this inside the box very easily, and then just Yeah, and I'll probably stencil after the end on it. I kind of like this better. I mean, I was never really that keen on buying an effects board, just because I figured this is going to be. It's not going to be a case of, oh, I see you saved money and you didn't want to spend 20 quid on buying one of these things. Not really. No, it's like I just more like to think that is a better system, especially if it's all bolted down. It's just like, how easy is that to handle? It's super durable. It's also DeWalt. It's actually for a jigsaw, and I've actually got the jigsaw, but I don't have the box for it. It's annoying because we had lots of these boxes from my dad's company, and I think he just threw them all out. But I was always thinking, I'll just have a DeWalt box lying about, and I looked, I didn't have one. This is a couple of years ago. But there you go. So there is Pedalboard of Doom, and there's enough room if I can think of anything else. I don't know. I mean, it depends what songs we're doing in the band. I mean, I was actually sitting there wondering about the Mel 9 synth pedal. Quite a lot of like we're doing Spiral Architect and stuff like that. Having strings and stuff, if I could run them like that through this, might be awful good. Having strings, really. But I need to look into it. Obviously, I'd love to. My favourite thing would do to run through 2 amps, but sod it. But I think this is keeping it. Ideally, wouldn't it be nice if there was some way of making it actually? I don't think it's It'd be pretty cool if there was some way of having a bit of luck. I think it would actually fit. I might have a look into that and make it so that there is actually an option to store a bottle of Bucky in it. That'd be pretty cool. And no, it's not going to take the wah-wah as well, is it? It's going to be pretty tight, but I mean, yeah. What I think I'm going to have to do before I do any more is, well, before I cut it, well, I'll cut it up anyway because it's just a useful case. I'm going to set this up and make sure all the pedals are working, and then work out what order I want to put them in. My thoughts currently would be tuner first, and find a good place to put the cable. Maybe I quite like these tuners. They're better than that Fender one I've got over there because it just comes up with a big massive letter what you're tuning to, and that's nice. And it's nice. It's dead responsive. And it kind of goes da da when you've won. I've actually got a couple of these. Actually, the reason I stopped using it was because because I've only got 5 isolated units on this. It was picking up a lot of interference. So see, when you weren't hitting a string, it was always just saying G sharp, which was really off-putting. I think it's just because I was running so many pedals. I was running like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was running 10 pedals out of 5 sockets. Some pedals don't mind sharing power with other pedals, and some pedals need to be on their own, and unfortunately these ones need to be on their own, have their own power supply, otherwise they pick up interference. So that, then the wah-wah pedal, yeah, and then the bass distortion. Or do I need to think about, I think I probably want it before the bass distortion. I might even want the wah-wah to be sort of clean. Aye, so wah-wah, that, then the DI box, which is just kind of like, I would probably just have it kind of set. It's be awful handy just to have like an EQ just on the floor. I'm using a Stranger's amp. I think this is where this comes. This is the sort of thing that really comes into it. So, run through like that amp I was using at the last gig. You could do it clean though anyway. But these things just are ugly as fuck, but good. Yes, and then I suppose, and I just a patch cable I can easily get at, that I can either run it into that and then out to the amp, or just run it straight out to the amp and then run that completely separately, just not bother with an input on it, just have it as an output. So I wouldn't even need, I would basically just take a patch cable out. It would just have to be a patch cable, and then just unplug it and stick my lead in. Or whether I decide to go wireless or not like that. But trying to be a wee bit cleverer about it and try and make it so that, you know, I'll make up proper leads and it'll be the neatest looking pedal board in the world. People are going to go up here, oh, this is a DeWalt case. And if it looks shite, it's going to look shite. But once it's done, you're going to open it up and look at it and go like up here, oh, that's cool as fuck. Can you make me one of them? No. There's a few wee bits like that need to come off. Or probably don't need to come off. Yeah. So, bass. I'll set up, but I don't want to be slagging off too much. I'm not even sure I'm going to notice a difference between that and what I was using with that. Really. I just think, I'm not a big multi-effects guy, but it's just for me, the thought of, especially having one of these, which these do weigh the same as a brick, like a proper wah-wah pedal. You can't really just fling that in your gig bag. You need to have a separate bag for it, so you might as well put it in a box, and this just weighs nothing. And in fact, I bet you if I took the batteries out, it would weigh half as much. It's just too handy a thing. I think so. Maybe I've got my, like, the thing that would be amazing if this did, which I think it does but haven't yet worked it out, is like a pitch shifter. So you could do like a Digitech whammy pedal. So I could drop it down to C sharp. So basically I could do a gig turning up with the wee red bass, this, and a cable to join the two together, and that's all, and basically do a lightweight gig. It's like if you ever get a chance of doing a gig and it's like it's only, I don't know, it's only 20 minutes and you got to be on and off stage. It's like just have a pedal, one bass, bang 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 bang, off, and get the bus home, get a bottle of bucky with him in. So I need to think about. I do like the idea of it taking a bottle of bucky. I wonder if I could make it take a can of Monster instead, or if it takes a bottle of bucket, it would take a can of Monster, but actually having a proper bit in there just for during the gig. I do quite like the idea of, actually, the more I think about it, the more having a bucky bottle space, because there's plenty of space in here. I can have them in different levels, but yeah, no, totally. Was that pure? Oh, what's in the case? I open it up and it's like pure. My pedal board with a specifically, maybe even get a cutout bit shaped like a bottle of bucky. For doing gigs, because that would always be handy. It means I don't get to drink before we go on stage. Although I have actually been drinking at the last few gigs, which is not something I'm really that keen on. What time is it? I can still just talk a wee bit more. One of the other things I was thinking of was I've been hearing all about this 50s wiring. Still working. So looking at this wee Candy Rocks, let's just say for argument's sake here, it's a Strat, which it is. I've put an extra switch in it which doesn't affect this 50s wiring, so this is the way I would do it. I watched a wee video on it, the guy, it was like a half-hour video of this guy talking about it, and I get bored. So there's a 50s wiring option. It's called their special wiring or something like that. So a Strat, as you know, has got 3 pickups, 5-way switch, and 2 tone controls and a volume. So this tone control is for this pickup, this tone control is for this pickup, which I get. I've got my white Strat there, which I'm totally leaving stock because there are reasons for having a tone control on these 2 pickups and not on this one. Even though I don't really use tone controls that much, it is, it's a valid thing, but I've got the original Strat to do that with. Whereas if you want to mod it, this is a completely reversible mod, by the way. What I'm saying this 50 special wiring is ditch this tone control, so you've just got a master tone, which is not vintage correct, that's fine, but this guitar's pink. And instead of making it a master tone, what you do is you make it a volume control for the neck pickup. Right? But when the volume the volume control works backwards. So when it's at 10 at full, it's not doing anything. Right? Everything else is still wired exactly the same, still works the same as a regular Strat, apart from you've only got 1 tone control, right? And then what you do is you make this volume control like a Gilmore switch. So what it does is it takes the output from the pickup straight from where it goes into the switch, goes into this backwards volume control, and when it comes out of this, it goes to the output of the switch, which basically means that no matter what this is set to, so you've set to bridge pickup, if you turn this knob all the way down, it turns the volume up full on this pickup, which gives you Gilmore. And if you're in position 2, it gives you all 3 pickups on without having to put another switch in. And I like the way of it being backwards. So normally people just put the tones at the top and you go, oh, if you pull that back, it'll bring in this thingy. So in this particular guitar, because I've got the Bucker switch, which basically knocks these 2 into series, it works with that as well. So if you've got my power switch on, the 5-way switch goes bridge single coil, still bridge single coil and neck, and then the middle 3 positions are all the same. So the middle 3 positions are these two as a humbucker with this on, and then the most neck position is just the neck pickup, which is, it's an interesting. It's giving you the extra sounds with a humbucker in the middle, so you just end up with more. I don't know if this is really the guitar that I should be doing that in. It's actually a free mod as well. All you need is a bit of wire, and just all you're doing is moving things about. Whether I can be bothered doing it with this guitar, I don't know. It might just make things confusing. Just try to keep it so it's not too confusing. Having a switch which does something isn't too bad, so you can just turn it off. But just turn it off and everything's back to normal. The thing I always like to do with guitars, especially when I'm trying to explain these things, I want to know the get out clause. So it's like all the guitars I've got, apart from the first couple of years, once I started getting better at it, or all the Buckycasters onwards sort of things, there's always a way of resetting them. So it's like, I have no idea what's going on, just put all the switches up and then it's a standard guitar sort of thing, or all the switches down, or try and make it so you can get back to nothing. So it's not really, no one's ever really going to notice. I might put it in. It's the idea of getting another sound. Not so much in this guitar for, obviously these switches are like £1 or something like that. It's not difficult, but there's sod all room in here. You can see that switch is only just fits in here because it's a mini guitar. It's like, it's 10% smaller or 20% smaller. There's not actually enough room to put a Gilmore switch in really anywhere. There's not an awful lot of real estate, whereas I don't think you're really going to be playing the Candy Rocks and wanting to be, I want to be able to dial different tones in for these pickups. I think having a tone control is a useful thing, just an overall one. Yeah, so I might do that. It won't take very long. I'll maybe do that just now, actually. Rock on, and I'll show you my pedal board once it's done. Yeah. See y'all tomorrow.